Garage is getting sort of taken over a little bit at the moment because moving is happening soon, which is definitely gonna mess this thing all up, but we're still gonna make progress, mainly so I don't have to try to move all this junk on the ground or all these parts over here. I know it seems like it's moving slow, but today, it should be like a huge jump of it actually looking like a motorcycle again, because I plan to put this thing back on. And with that, we're gonna put the carburetor on. But before I do that, I've gotta get the kickstand back on. It's been moving it around. I have to just stand around, kind of wedge it. It's pretty silly. Let's work on that real fast. Going from a 21 to a 17 really brings the front end down, but we also have the bike lowered an 1.5 inches. There's a good chance this is gonna be way too long. First thing I need to do, take a hammer to this, because that's not right. I mean, I guess I got it more flat, but that... Definitely just not enough lean there. So now I just have to get this foot cut off and welded back on. It is really beat up and the metal's so thin right here. Dig it through my parts turn signal holder. If I cut it off right here, you can see if we can fill this hole with something down here. But check this out, when it goes down, trim that little back part off, and I think we got the makings of a new kickstand. I'll take it to my guy that I gotta take the exhaust to him anyway in a couple days to get something welded on it. He might see this is dumb. He might just pull out a chunk of metal and make his own thing for there and just kind of copy this shape. I'm gonna put a little bit of duct tape just over the tip of it now so I don't mar the garage floor up. More cleaning, so I think just one bolt and this thing will come right out. Wife's at work right now, so one day I'll have like a sink in the shop, you know, that's a goal there. The water is so hot. So before we tighten these lower bolts up and put this top bolt in, this is a great time to go ahead and install the carburetor. That's kind of why I'm doing it in this stage here, and mainly because you got a little bit of hinge action here. You can pull it back a little. This helps you really set everything up, and then you get it all in there. You don't have to necessarily unbolt the subframe to get a carburetor in and out of a dirt bike, but it's much better if you do. Besides, this is probably the part you've all been waiting for anyway. Let's check out the new carburetor. I gotta touch this thing like with a rag because it's disgusting and it's terrible, but this is the stock carburetor that came on the XR. I don't know why this bike of this year got this carburetor when, like, you know, like the CRF450 is out at the same time, and it definitely had a flat slide pumper. Anyways, we're not having any of that BS, not even the pumper, because we're going with the, I don't even know why I'm revealing this. It's in the thumbnail, right? Anyway. Dun, 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 dun. So Lectron Carb set us up with this thing. They even sent me this fancy stand to show it off, which I couldn't have done without. So outside of looking real fancy and polished and having a clear float bowl, there actually is some really cool mechanical stuff going on in here. There's a number of reasons this thing is absolutely badass and even better than some fuel injection systems. I'll explain it in a second here. But before we do that, maybe I should tell you exactly how a carburetor works, and then maybe how this one works, if I even fully understand it, which I kind of do. So a carburetor's job here is to meter the air and fuel going into the engine. Float bowl down here, and then basically this is a little float, almost think of it like a toilet float. If you want to know how that thing works, this is basically the same concept here. Then you have a number of jets here on the bottom. Fuel will get pulled up through these into the carburetor. Air flows through here quite quickly, creates a low pressure. Your float bowl's vented the atmospheric pressure, so the differences between the pressure will actually draw fuel up through it. There's all kinds of circuits and things it has to have on here to make this work properly. Different throttle positions and different loads will create different needs of fuel. So how would upgrading the carburetor help the engine run and perform better? There's a couple main ways. Typically it has to do with what type of carburetor or the size of the carburetor. This was off a DRZ. DRZs are pretty notorious for, you know, people upgrading to a bigger carburetor. Bigger isn't always better. The thing with the DRZ, you gotta remember, came originally with a 39 flat slide. That's what it was built for. They put this 36 CVs on them to make them hit some kind of, you know, license in Europe or something. If you go bigger, oftentimes you lose some bottom end and you gain some top end. But outside of going bigger, the other main thing you're looking at is just, well, how it meters that air and fuel. Big part of it is how well it turns that fuel into a very fine mist. The more fine it can get it, the better the engine will run. Sitting big globs of fuel down the throat bowl, you'll need a whole lot of turbulence, then churn that all up and then send that down the motor. And turbulence, while it can help mix up the air-fuel mixture a little bit better, it's also restrictive and it's not what you necessarily want. In a lot of cases though, they'll have to sort of inherently design some turbulence through the intake because the carburetor just isn't good enough at mixing that up. Lectron is completely different how it runs. It's so simple, but it's supposed to do everything better. If you didn't ever see any reviews of these things and you hear all the stuff it says it does, you'd probably think, okay, it's sort of like a flat slide, but it's not a flat slide. Just notice how smooth this thing is when it's wide open. A normal carburetor like this, you know, you could spend all day tuning this thing, getting it just right, and if the next day, if it's a little hotter, a little colder, it's not gonna run as good. Also, if you were to go in higher altitudes, lower altitudes, somewhere different than where you're at right now, again, it wouldn't run as good. This carburetor, for whatever reason, doesn't need to do that. That's something I'm trying to wrap my head around. It sounds too good to be true. Go look up reviews. There's tons of people talking about riding this thing low altitude, high altitude with these carburetors, and you know, it just says it works. Talking about something like, you know, like my WR450, for instance, that had fuel injection, but it's like a motocross fuel injection system. It doesn't tune itself. I think that's something a lot of people think, oh, I've got a fuel-injected dirt bike. I know with my old WR, I used to have to pull that Game Boy thing out, and like every winter, I used to bump the fuel up just a little bit because it would run super lean in the wintertime. So in a lot of ways, this could out-trump a lot of fuel injection systems. For an old-school bike like mine that's carbureted, this is probably the coolest thing out there. What I'd really love to do, though, is show you inside this thing and really show you what it looks like and how it operates. So I think we're going to cut it in half real quick. There, that looks good. Oh, I'm so sorry guys, the battery died. So here we are inside of the Lectron, and it is pretty simple. Your float bowl, just like the other one, you got a float bowl here on the bottom. But instead of having jets here on the bottom, we just have one single main passage coming up. All other carburetors also have a needle like this inside. This needle, if you imagine, gets thinner as it goes down. So the more this is pulled up, the more it allows fuel to be drawn through it. Something they've done very unique though with theirs, they've made it flat on this side right here. Normally these are just completely round. Normally with just a round one, the fuel comes out here and just sort of starts misting out through here. Because they've added this flat side to it right here, the fuel actually carries up this little needle here. So instead of just a little fine mist of fuel coming out of the bottom here, the whole thing has got fuel misting off the entire rod. Apparently that'll handle about 2/3 of the throttle tuning just through that. Start getting more on it. Down here, there's another circuit that comes up around to, I think they call this the power jet. The power jet! As air begins to travel past this hole here, it's gonna start drawing fuel through it as well. And I guess this is supposed to be kind of like your main jet. There's a little tuner here on top, and then turning this rod here is about the only tuning you have to do this thing. And I'm told you only have to do like quarter turns at a time or something with this thing. You're not supposed to be doing a bunch of turns with it. Basically, they're fine tuners, and this thing's supposed to come basically ready for your bike when they send it to you. I still have a hard time kind of wrapping my head around how it stays itself tuned. I mean, I guess I can kind of understand, okay, the air's thinner, it just doesn't pull as much fuel with it because the air doesn't have as much with it either. But at the same time, I think, well, why doesn't a normal carburetor work that way then? Honestly, it still seems a little bit like magic to me. I'll tell you what though, I went on the internet and I was really hard trying to find examples of people saying that this thing doesn't work, it sucks, and only a few. It's like 99% really happy people with this thing. I wish I could explain it better. I mean, they sent me this whole thing. I mean, I chopped mine in half to explain it to you guys, and the simpleness of it's amazing. But wait, there's more. If you order the Lectron Carb kit for your bike, they also send you I've never known what this is called. You get this, some grips to go with it. They don't want you even running that throttle tube. They're gonna give you this cool metal one. These metal throttle tubes, not only are they metal, which is cool, but the little cam here on the end, you can actually change it out and get different sort of throttle profiles. And they give you a throttle cable. It's very nice. Printed the paper on the back. Actually, this is the cam that's meant for the Lectron. I think this is like maybe this is like a quick turn or something. I'll just keep this one in there for now, and you know, maybe I'll play with it later. It's not like it's hard to switch it or anything. You can put a little bit of grease on this. Do not put a lot. Very little amount. Get it all with your hand and make people laugh on the internet. Definitely some redundancy in parts. The throttle kit comes with a little cover here and this little adjuster, but there's already one on the cable. So if you're gonna run bar ends or hand guards like I am, you gotta leave just a little bit of space here at the end. Otherwise, if you fall over, it can jam the throttle on. That sounds crisp. I'm gonna put just a pinch of little cable lube on here. I'm gonna go ahead and pop on this part of the now. Spray a little WD-40 around here does help. I don't need to because I just exude WD-40 through my skin. There's kind of a little place for a tab to go on the carburetor. Now they don't have that tab on the carb, but it's on the little air boot thing here. But there is like a machine line right in the middle. So you want to line that up with that. That should get you the correct orientation. Solid. A little bit of WD-40 around the lip of this here. Now we're going to start hinging this forward. You do got to watch the bottom corner here because if you imagine the angle it's coming in at, the bottom here is not quite perfect, so kind of mash on it as you're coming in with it will help. I got my hand like way up in the intake and I can feel like the lip of it, how it's lining up against the carburetor, where it's good and where it's not. Again, because we're gonna run hand guards on here, I've got to try to cut this end off here. I hate doing this. I went to shit. These don't look good at all cut. Nice Italian grips. They're trash now. I just went and picked me up some pillow tops. I kind of wanted to run these anyway. The pillow top ones have got this little line around here. This will help us trim it a little better. So much better. In case you never knew it, one grip is for the throttle side and one's for the clutch side. See how that just goes on super easy? That would be no good. All I'm trying to do is get this grip flush with the end. We don't have to worry about anything rubbing. The throttle side, we'll have to worry about that a little bit better. Get it to start on there. Even without any ties on here, this is super tight. It just will not twist. When they're brand new, they're awesome. So things to pay attention to is to make sure that we're not hanging off the end at all. I've set my throttle tube with just a little bit of gap around here. Also have to make sure we don't have the grip up against the throttle housing at all because that'll also cause some kind of drag. Don't want any drag at all. I mean, I've seen guys that had like where these were up against there and they're like, well, I just put a little WD-40 behind there before I go on rides. I'm like, dude, I love WD-40, but that's a good idea. Get the half started here. God, there's some bubbles in this thing. That's a good tight grip. Got plenty of gap right here. I've got a little gap right here, so we know the handguard's not gonna touch this. I've got my label in the right spot. Free spinning. Good. Put some safety wire on the grips. I don't have the fancy twisty tools. I'm gonna use some vice grips, snips, 2 flatheads. I always just do one single roll around there. I know a lot of people want to do like this double roll. I've always find that just makes it more sloppy. Remember to sweep those little ends up before you walk around here barefoot, holding it with one and trying to fold it over with the other one. Is you want to get the little sharp edge kind of back into the groove you're putting the wire in and really push this sharp part up into the rubber a little here. It should be the point where you can take your skinned finger here and like I'm pushing really hard right into this spot. I can't even get like a nub of anything on there. So that's what you're looking for. I'm gonna repeat that in the middle and then one more right out towards the edge. Now normally I'd say don't go too tight on the throttle side ones because you can actually crush the plastic tubing a little and cause some resistance, but since we've got like an aluminum tube, I'm not saying go crazy, but I'll probably go just as tight as I would go on the throttle side or the clutch side, I imagine. I stopped the camera for 1 second. I straight up murdered myself. I know that this stuff is so sharp. I'm always so careful with it, and that's because I was like turning the camera off trying to position it. It's also, this isn't duct tape on my finger here. I mean, it is duct tape, but it's a duct tape band-aid. So there's an actual gauze over where hurt myself. I don't think duct tape adhesive is good for your wounds. So we got the Lectron installed with minimal bloodshed. Get a handful of spare parts. It just sucks that like I can't go test ride it right now. We're just not at that stage. I don't even have the stator back yet. That's the one thing that stinks about all these cool parts I'm putting on. It's like, let's go test them. Nope. I just wish I could do the cool Lectron thing where you turn the fuel on and watch the fuel come up in the float ball. That looks so cool. But the install, pretty straightforward, very solid kit, comes with everything you need. Start playing with the radiators and the exhaust, all that stuff should be going on in very short order. And yes, I'm gonna put some fake carbon fiber on this thing. Later.